So I guess from here we'll just throw in a little bit of fun and we'll throw in some barriers using the platform. And at the very end I'll throw in that little wild card brick that's just floating around knocking into things. So let's go back here. Okay, so let's just drag this platform out here and I'll reshape it a bit. Maybe narrow it some. And I'm going to tilt it on an angle. And I'm just going to create some sort of barriers, if you will. I can Option click and drag, Alt click and drag on the PC. And maybe just change some angles here. And anticipate how it's going to fall. If I want to kind of change the results, I can come in and reset the positions and the angles and so on of these. But let's just throw a few of these around the screen. And maybe we'll start the ball a little higher. And let's just see what happens. And we're getting some slightly strange effects. So let's go back here. And let's double click on the player. And let's go down to physics. We're going to first of all make it so that it's fixed and it doesn't actually spin. We're also going to change the collision shape to circle. You notice it looked like it wasn't quite hitting it. It's because there was an invisible rectangle around our actor. So if we change it to circle, being a circle, it should work now. Let's give that a try. Here we go. And boom. Okay, and you can just start it all over by hitting the reset button. So if I wanted to move things around based on, my desired result, I could do it. But that's fine as a demonstration. Let's make it a little more exciting and attribute a sound to the collision. Let's go back here and we'll start a new rule, create rule, based on a collision. So actor receives event, overlaps or collides with actor platform, which is any one of those purple blocks. It will play a sound. And we'll go play sound. And since we already have that sound in our library, it will appear under our list of choices, electronic hit, FX16. Let's give that a try. I should expect to hear it knocking around now. And sound is a big part of the experience. Don't underestimate sound. It can actually be more powerful than what the viewer sees. So sound can obviously make things more dramatic and definitely brings reality to a situation. So once again, I'll just reset. Our accelerate feature is acting as gravity. All of our purple bricks, our platforms, are not allowed to move because we've set the attributes. So one more thing now is that little wild card, that moving block that goes up and down and can collide with the green ball. So I'll just go back to the scene here. Option click and drag, okay, and then click on it here. I'll make it a little less of an angle. And my idea is that I'm going to make it accelerate upwards. And hopefully it hits the green ball. It'll have to be timed. So I'll double click on it. And this is something new for this particular exercise. I'll double click on it. I will break the link to the original prototype. So that means that this particular instance will have some unique features that the others of its kind will not have. And the first one is to make it movable. So let's go down to attributes, check off movable. I'll still keep it so that it doesn't rotate on impact, and we'll keep fixed rotation set. Now I'll go down to behaviors. And we'll just choose accelerate and drag that in there. And I want it to go up and down, so I will double click or single click, type in 90, hit return, 90 degrees. And I guess we'll set that, we'll actually keep it at 100. I'll see how it goes at 100, and I may adjust the speed based on the collision and the effect that I get. So let's just try this now. And I'll just hit reset here. You see it's moving up. It may or may not time. You see it actually missed it. So I can do a few things. I can move it. And I'll double click it and I'll actually slow it down to 50. And hopefully it will catch it on that first collision. It will. Let me go down here. Because it's movable, it can be redirected once it collides with the green ball. So let's try this again. See, it's moving slower. Oh, just missed it again. You know what? I'm going to try it over here maybe, and we'll see what happens. Okay, that's kind of weird, but it's working. Now if I want to move around, I can hit my space bar and my arrows and so on. Now, one other thing I would like to do here is you saw how that wildcard, once it went out of the scene, it was gone. I'd like it to actually come back into the scene at the opposite end. So if it rises out of the top, it will recycle itself and come back through the bottom. So let's go back and I can show you how that works. There's a feature under the Scene tab called Wrap X and Wrap Y. So anything that exits on X re-enters on X, and anything that exits Y re-enters on the Y axis. Let's turn those both on. Now I could expect that board or that platform to re-enter once it leaves the scene. I'm actually going to move it a bit too. We'll see what happens when I put it there. And here it goes. And there it comes. So it's going on a bit of an angle now. It may come back, and there it is to come back to make more trouble for us. So this is our exercise for today. Let me just pause this, which addresses collision, addresses gravity. And the last thing I want to demonstrate to you, you may remember at the beginning of the exercise, I talked about two ways of doing the gravity. And if we go back here, we put our gravity features directly on the ball with the accelerate behavior. The reason I did that is I'll show you now what will happen if we were to use the built-in gravity. So let me turn off accelerate. Now if I hit it now, all you'll see is that platform brick raising up and accelerating and so on. Let's go back here. You can set gravity features overall for a scene. So let's go all the way back here and click on Scene. And as you see here, we have gravity for X and Y. So we can force it on one or the other axis or a combination of both. Y is up and down. Now I happen to know that 500 is a pretty good setting for gravity. So what should happen here is that the green ball should start to be affected by the gravity. And it is. But you see what's happening to the block that I originally had trying to go upwards. The block is now being overridden by that overall graphic, and I can no longer have it rising on its own. So really the gravity is for one and all, so it can be quite limiting that way. That's why as a best practice we usually use accelerate on the particular actors that we want to move in any particular direction. And really we're only ever imitating gravity. So let me go back here and turn that feature off. Set my Y back to 0. Go back here. Actually, double click in the player and turn on the accelerate feature. That way I get my various moving items moving in their respective directions. Again, and I could fool around with this to get a little more playfulness out of this if I wanted to. But I also have the ability to jump and to continue to jump and to move left and right and navigate myself through the scene, maybe to say avoid it as part of the game and attribute points to that. And this is your exercise for today.